Hi, Movie Explain here. Today I am going to explain an American fantasy adventure comedy film called Gulliver's Travel. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. A middle aged man named Lumen Gulliver wakes up in his messy New York apartment and goes on with his morning routine. He talks to his superhero toys on a shelf and dances in the shower, showing us his goofy side. Gulliver walks in the mailroom of a New York newspaper company. That day, he meets a new employee named Dan and befriends him. Gulliver is Dan's boss in the mailing department. As the two deliver their mail for the first day, they come across Gulliver's longtime crush and the journalist called Darcy Silverman. He has been in love with her for years but never confessed. Later that day, Dan brings out a notice that he has been promoted to head of the mail department on his first day. Gulliver has been working in the facility for 10 years, but no one there respects him. Dan claims that Gulliver is scared to talk and will never progress in life other. Gulliver is walking off the office and notices Darcy working late. He gathers up courage and goes to her cabin to ask her out. However, he now gets the best of him, so instead, he picks up a random paper from her desk and heads out. Darcy asks him if he wants to apply for the traveling writing assignment. A nervous Gulliver agrees and has to submit a travel blog the following day. At home, he copies and pastes several articles from the internet for the blog. The following day at work, he submits it to Dorothy, who is impressed by his writing skills and provides him with a new task. She wants him to travel to the Bermuda Triangle and write an article about the legends of ships mysteriously disappearing there. To impress her, Gulliver agrees. Dorothy arranges a contact and boat trip for him. Gulliver flies to Bermuda the very next day. When he is picked up a man, he takes Gulliver to a rented boat and shows him how to use it. The journey is pretty simple as the boat is automated. Gulliver finally sails for the Bermuda Triangle alone in the boat. For the first few hours, he enjoys himself by reading how to build a boat, magazines, and drinking several cans of Coke. His sleeps fall ahead. Sometimes later, he wakes up in a massive wave in front of him. A sea storm hits, and he quickly puts a life jacket on. The boat shakes vigorously in the water. Gulliver turns around to see an enormous sea tornado coming this way. Gulliver with his boat is surged on top of the tornado, then right into the ice. The screen goes black when Gulliver opens his eyes. He cannot move his body. He looks down and is surprised when he sees some tiny men standing on the top of his chest. The leader introduces himself as the Commander Edwardian of the Lilliput. The camera zooms out, showing us a crowd of little people standing around Gulliver. He is pinned to the ground with tiny ropes and wood. Commander Edward calls Gulliver a beast. A confused Gulliver yells in fear and breaks free from the ropes easily. Thinking that it is a dream, he tries closing his eyes. Edward orders his soldiers to bring the beast down. The soldiers attack their hooks to Gulliver's plant and make him fall unconscious. When he wakes up, Gulliver finds himself tied to a cot and being pulled to the kingdom of Lilliput. The tiny civilians come out of their houses to get a look at the beast. He is pulled into the royal palace and presented to the king of Lilliput, King Theodore. The king's daughter, Princess Mary, pities Gulliver and asks Edward if the restraints are necessary. Edward claims that the Gulliver is a spy from the enemy kingdom Beluficia. Gulliver finally speaks and asks the king where he is. King Theodore's secretary, Jinx, tells him that he is in Lilliput, the greatest nation in the world. Gulliver thinks this is a prank and asks a non-existent cameraman to show himself. In the following scene, we see Gulliver imprisoned inside a cave. He meets a fellow prisoner named Horatio, who was sentenced to life by Edward for trying to court Princess Mary. The two was approached by Edward again, who listens to them, referring them as lame ass. When Edward threatens to imprison them for life, Gulliver claims lame ass means someone who is brave. Happy with the answer, Edward takes both the prisoners to a field to plow it with the help of Gulliver's strength. He restrains Gulliver with a machine. Just then, two rings of bell are heard from the palace, indicating that Beluficia has attacked. They are trying to kidnap Princess Mary and started fire at the palace. Edward quickly runs to the palace and orders everyone not to save Princess, as he wants to be the one who to save her. But Horatio asks Gulliver to do it because Edward can't reach her on time. Gulliver easily takes the Belufician soldiers down and saves the princess, but the king and his secretary are stuck in the fire. Gulliver in a hurry urinates on the building. Everyone claps for them and he stops the fire and saves King Theodore. The king removes him and Horatio from imprisonment and thanks Gulliver for his bravery. He also invites everyone for a feast at night to celebrate the occasion. Edward is furious to see someone who is being praised for their bravery. At the feast, the king orders Gulliver where he is from, and he answers is from Manhattan. The people assume that Gulliver was the president of Manhattan as the bravest one out there. Gulliver feels like a hero for the first time in his life, so he fabricates the story, claiming he was known as President the Awesome. Everyone believes him except for Edward. The following day, the people of Lilliput built a massive home for Gulliver with all the facilities he couldn't get when he was in New York. The king sends a search party to look for his washed boat at Gulliver's request. Gulliver also makes them build a theater for everyone to fit in their kingdom. Then he shows them a drama of the sinking Titanic, claiming it to be the story of his life. Everyone is amazed by the tragic life that he has had. Edward inquires how he was saved after drowning, and Gulliver claims that he was reassociated. Later, Horatio asks Gulliver to help him impress Mary, and Gulliver agrees. The two go to the palace, and Horatio approaches the Mary princess. A hidden Gulliver recites the lyrics of the song Kiss, making Horatio repeat it. By the end of it, the princess starts to fall for Horatio, but she is called by Edward, who has come to court her. The two has been destined to get married, as Edward is the bravest of the kingdom. Princess Mary isn't fond of Edward, but she cannot seem to get rid of him. Somewhere else, the search party finds a washed-up boat with cans of coke. Gulliver comes to the scene and finds his cell phone is still working. He has 12 voice messages from Darcy. Turns out she is furious to have found out about Gulliver's plagiarized article. She now has to sail on the same travel trail Gulliver came to do Bermuda Triangle research herself. Gulliver now doesn't want to go back to New York and faces her, so he decides to stay in Lilliput permanently. Edward is not happy about the decision and tells the king he is suspicious of Gulliver. The king dismisses him, claiming that he trusts Gulliver. Because of this stay, the king gives Gulliver the title of the new general and demotes Edward to the vice general. A jealous Edward turns Lilliput defense system off, making it easier for their enemies Blefuscia to attack. Blefuscian soldiers and their king sees this and plan to attack Lilliput immediately. They approach the kingdom through waters and launch cannonballs towards Lilliput. Being the general, now it is Gulliver's duty to stop them. He nervously steps into the water and starts to splash it around. The cannonballs doesn't work on Gulliver, who is massive compared to them. Eventually, he defeats the Blefuscian and becomes the savior of Lilliput. The people from Lilliput fulfill all of Gulliver's wishes. They even build a model of Times Square as he would feel at home. They change their clothing to match that of Gulliver's. Soldiers are appointed to cut their hair and give him massages. One night, Edward walks into the prince's chamber. He claims that he has a right to come in any time because he courts the princess. The princess finally reveals that she doesn't love him and doesn't want him to court her anymore. An angered Edward leaves for Blefuscia to ask for help from the king. Edward may have found the Bullier robot book Gulliver had on the boat. The Blefuscian king agrees to help him build a robot using the book to battle Gulliver. Some days later, Gulliver is at the model Times Square when the bells of the palace ring, suggesting an invasion. Gulliver gets ready to battle tiny people, but he is surprised when a huge robot being operated by Edward stands in front of him. Edward challenges him for a duel. Gulliver has no way but to accept. He tries to push the robot, but he is way stronger than him. It picks Gulliver up with his pants and makes him suspect his defeat. Gulliver also confesses that everything he said about him being the president is a lie. The king and the princess are surprised to have been betrayed by him. Edward sends Gulliver to a forbidden place called the island where we dared not to go as a punishment. When Gulliver is left there, he is picked up by a giant little girl. Turns out the island is the home of giants. The girl thinks Gulliver is a toy and keeps him in her Barbie house, dressing him in pinky clothes. Meanwhile, back in Lilliput, Darcy's body washed up on the shore. Gulliver has told everyone that Darcy is his princess back home, so Edward recognizes her and imprisons her. She meets King Theodore and his queen in prison, who has been captured after Gulliver's defeat. Horatio sees this and decides to travel the island where we dare not to go to get Gulliver back. He's mystical on the island and manages to reach Gulliver safely. The little girl's dollhouse also has a skeleton of the dead US force pilot. Gulliver uses the parachute to escape and fly back to Lilliput. He first goes to meet Darcy in the prison and confesses that he has a crush on her. She forgives him for plagiarizing the article and seems to be opening up to him. Gulliver has decided to challenge Edward for a duel. He doesn't want to prove his bravery anymore, but genuinely wants Edward to give the kingdom back to King Theodore if he wins. But if he loses, Edward will destroy the kingdom altogether. The two fight and Edward overpower him within seconds. Horatio runs to help him and manages to get it the robot. He defeats Edward from inside, eventually repowering the robot. After that, Darcy celebrates the win because of Horatio's bravery. He is provided permission to court Princess Mary. The two finally kiss, but just then Edward, who has reached the point of insanity, takes the princess hostage. But the princess, finally having enough of Edward, beats the traitor up in frustration. Darcy then kisses her Gulliver for the first time. The Maleficent King and Theodore are about to initiate the war again, but Gulliver stops him. He successfully helps the princess makes peace between the rival island nations by reciting Edward Starr's war, and finally he, along with Darcy, returns to New York City on their repair ship. Cut to a few weeks later, Gulliver has left the mailroom job and is a travel writer now. He and Darcy are in a happy relationship. Gulliver has just completed a travel assignment, and the movie ends as the two walk out of Darcy's office while holding hands. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.